I was this little girl who would just look up at her dad and all these people calling my dad sir, and I'd be like, yeah, my dad's a sir.
Warrant Officer First Class John McKenner devoted his life to the Australian Army. He and wife Lorraine raised 4 kids, moving every few years to wherever the Army needed him to go.
Because of Dad's ranking, we were always put into like nice houses, and we were always surrounded by Army children. So there was like heaps of kids to play with. Like, yeah, it was really cool.
In 1969, when Deborah was still a baby, John was sent to Vietnam.
Dad didn't get sick until 1980. So he'd been back for years.
What was the first sign that something had changed?
When I walked out into the lounge room and he had a hairdryer cord wrapped around her neck.
Around your mum's neck?
Yeah. The hairdryer was still going. And like, I ran over and knelt in front of Mum, and I just had to get my fingers in between because she couldn't breathe. And I'm just looking at Dad going like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? What's happening?
Deborah saved her mum's life, but that was only the first shock.
And then Mum got a call 2 days later. It was my oldest brother's 14th birthday, and saying that Dad had tried to commit suicide in the car.
John survived. He was admitted to a psychiatric hospital, but a year after his release, he attacked Lorraine again.
I just heard this short scream and a loud thump, and I ran out, and my Dad had his hands around and her feet went on the ground, and I just run over and just pushed him. He's let go, and I just had a meltdown. And I'm just going, Dad, what is going, why?
John was discharged from the Australian Army after 23 years of service.
The Army knew that he hadn't gotten better after attempting suicide. He hadn't gotten better from whatever made him sick in the first place.
So what did he tell you was going on?
Talking to him on the phone, he was more of like I'm trying to get better, and I don't even think he knew what was wrong with him.
Did any of you, including your father, turn to the Army for help?
Yes.
And what happened?
Nothing. My mum knew that Dad was dangerous. Dad knew that he was dangerous. The police knew. She took an AVO out. She had to change the locks. She was trying to protect us kids.
On the morning of July 28, 1982, once the kids had gone to school, John McKenner shot and killed Lorraine at the front door of the family home before turning the gun on himself.
I saw it on the news that night. I saw my parents being taken out of the house on the stretchers.
And what about the Army family that you'd been a part of?
I don't know. There were Army around after they died, and everything disappeared, and we were thrown into an orphanage.
Her experiences at the orphanage caused her own PTSD and split the family apart. When Deborah finally left, she went back to the Army looking for answers.
All I know is that Dad was told to discharge or be discharged. They gave him a clean bill of health, so they pretty much didn't want to know. I have been to Anzac House, I have been to RSLs, I've been to Veterans Affairs, I've even rang the Minister of Veterans Affairs, and no one will answer me, no one will talk to me.
Earlier this year, with a little help from Shine Lawyers, Deborah got her chance to be heard.
I've lived for this day where I can finally talk and be heard about my family and how 6 people's lives were destroyed by the Australian Defence Force's lack of care. My dad was an Australian soldier. He deserved better than that. Mum, she had the right to live, and I miss her every day.
I just wanted to say thank you. It's a very powerful story. And I think a very poignant reminder of how important it is to think about families and how long the trauma and grief goes on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you forgiven your father now for taking both his and your mother's life?
I've never, ever hated Dad for, never. Never. My dad may have held the gun, but the Australian Defence Force pulled the trigger, as far as I'm concerned.
For the last 4 decades, these medals have been on display in a glass box at a Melbourne RSL. Now, Deborah has reclaimed them for the dawn service tomorrow.
Do you think he'd be proud of you?
I hope so. I hope Mum is too. It's more Mum.
What do you think she would think?
I think Mum would be proud of me because we're trying to change the legacy.
Was getting up at that Royal Commission one of the toughest things you've ever done?
No, surviving is.
Well, if this story raises any issues for you, please remember crisis support is available 24/7 on Lifeline, 13 11 14, and we wish you all the best tomorrow and, in fact, for everyone marching